Welcome back to another episode here on Best Version of Me podcast. I'm your proud host, Daniel Hernandez. On this episode, we sat down with our friend, Dr. Ben Talei, at his office in Beverly Hills. Dr. Ben is a dual board certified facial plastic and reconstructive surgeon who has worked with many Hollywood celebrities. We talk about his business, his journey, his sacrifice, his wins and losses, and what it takes to be the best in your industry. He's smart, driven, caring, focused, and ultra successful at what he does. I know you're going to enjoy this and learn a lot from this episode, so let's jump right into the conversation with Dr. Ben Talei.
The way I cast that net was just by becoming more popular. And you can become more popular by making friends. You could do it by becoming a better surgeon. You could do it by media. You could do it by social media. You could do it, a million different ways. I did it all the ways. So I don't put my eggs into one basket because I know I can fail. So what I did was people, when they describe me, they do say I kind of grew rapidly and definitely more rapidly than other surgeons. So most people here in Beverly Hills, it usually takes them about 20 years to get like a busy practice. I was kind of about like 6 months. So 6 months, and you remember how it was when we were over there. We had people like waiting in the waiting room on the floor. And this is before social media really blew up. This is like 2013, 14. And back then it was hard to get big fast. Like now you can just, go viral. Back then it wasn't like that. So I got pretty fortunate, in how fast I grew. To get to that point, I did a lot of preparation, and I went through the undergrad that you got to do. I did UCLA, med school you got to do. I did San Diego, residency you got to do. I did Columbia and Cornell, which was a combined residency, and I wanted to be a head and neck cancer surgeon. From there, I decided I couldn't deal with cancer. People were too dying, and it wasn't for me. And my goal always was to save lives and to really help people with their health. And it was just too hard for me to deal with telling people they had cancer. So I switched paths to reconstruction of the cancers. And then from there, I started to get into the cosmetic plastics world. So I stuck around New York for a while, did a couple fellowships. I did one in facial plastics, a part of Einstein, and then another one for birthmarks for kids as part of NYU. And then that's when I moved back. That's when we met. And in about 6 months, my practice just took off. Not the way that I expected it to. I thought, I was going to have to put in the hours like everyone else. I put in way more hours than everyone else to start. People don't get that about me because I party a lot and I go out a lot and I have fun. So people don't know me well, don't take me seriously. And then they see my background and my record, and they see my dean in med school thought I was a joke until she saw the grades. And then she's like, oh, wow, I thought you were an idiot. So that's always how it was. And then when I moved back to LA, I thought I was going to be a birthmark surgeon, a cancer reconstructionist, and a cosmetic surgeon. But Beverly Hills had a whole other path in mind, and I just went straight cosmetic because that's what the patients really came to me for. And now it's been 8 years now I've been in practice, 7.5, 8 years. And I was always known as like the young one in the big circles. And now I'm known as the young one in even the bigger circles. So it's now in the lecturing circles and the professors and things like that, I'm still the youngest. I'm the youngest. The other youngest, who was super young, is still 10 years older than me, 15 years older than me. But it's nice though. I like being the baby and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of it in medicine has to do with experience. A lot of it just has to do with how people like you, how personable you are and how good you are at stuff, how logical you are, and everything kind of combines. And I got pushed forward kind of quickly.
And do you see that as a compliment when you hear the young one in the group?
Yeah, it's funny because so they made me a professor in Mexico and in Monterrey, and I'm a professor of the 2 top programs in Mexico. And for them, it was already difficult to get me to lecture there, to let me lecture there, because I'm not Mexican. I am young. No, yeah.
¿Hablas español?
Claro que sí. Yeah, but I'm younger, and then I'm also not plastic surgery. I'm facial plastic surgery, and these are 2 different groups. And within plastic surgery, there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of competition, and not with me, but with these guys. And that's how it is in Canada and Mexico and the U.S., whatever country you go to.
And you specialize in one of the 2 hardest which is
Facelifting and lip lifting are the two top cosmetic things that I'm known for, and that's what they asked me to go lecture about. And it took them a lot to get me to say, you know what, guys, let him come lecture, because they wanted to fight me. They said, no, he's facial plastics. He's our enemy. We're not going to invite him. It's kind of the old school mentality. But half of them were like, no, he's good at this stuff. Please, bring him down. Let's teach each other. So they brought me down, and they immediately made me a professor, international professor at the Universidad del Nuevo León, like in Monterrey. Yeah. And they're giving me the honor and the writing the thing out. And they go, Ben, we never thought we'd bring in a facial plastics, but I work, like probably 3 times as much as everybody else. And they don't see that, but I was here from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, busting my ass. And now it's, I'm backing off. Got to get a life at some point.
So facelift, lip lift, was that a passion of yours, or how did you fall into that, or was that intentional?
So, well, I became a specialist in aging face and revision rhinoplasty. So revision rhino is its own animal, it's its own field, and I spent years and hours a day and week and getting good at it. I never marketed it, I never advertised it, because too many people were coming to me for it, and it was imbalancing my practice. So I kept quiet about it, but I still was doing a lot. The other was aging face, and aging face is that I'm looking tired, my neck's sagging, all that. And I got lucky, and I trained with someone amazing in New York, and he taught me a new way to do it that other people weren't doing. That's the most advanced way, and it still is the most advanced way. And I came back to LA, and I advanced it this way, he advanced it that way, and that's in the world of what we call deep plane facelifting. And that just means that you're not doing this weird pulling, stretching, tightening stuff that everybody does, and they all look weird. You make a huge difference, and you can't tell anything was done. That's the way to do plastic surgery. From that, I started doing these lip lifts, and lip lifts it's a procedure where you shorten the upper lip height so you see more teeth, get more accent. And it's a nice procedure, but nobody was doing it. And it's been around for 50 years. So people weren't doing it though because of all the scarring, and they never figured it out. And when I moved back, I started applying what I learned from deep plane facelifting, and I realized that the lip has a deep plane. And I started doing this deep plane lip lifting. And from that, lip lifting took off. Not just in my practice, but around the world. Word kind of spread that, oh shit, this guy in Beverly Hills is doing it. They saw the pictures. I didn't know they knew about me. There's a guy in Poland who knew about me, a guy in Russia who knew about me. They're emailing me. I'm like, how do these guys know? It was just the beginning of social media starting, and they picked up on it, and they saw. And so everybody got excited about lip lifts, and they started doing lip lifts. So this lip lifts became more popular, and as it did, the revision rates went up because people didn't learn how to do it. They just saw that it was doable. They didn't actually learn how to do it. So I've been trying to teach, and I teach all the time. So I lecture several times a month. I'm always at conferences. I'm always putting stuff online. I'm doing video conferences. People come and learn from me every day. I always have a resident, a fellow, or another surgeon following me every single day I operate. So I've been trying to teach everybody. It's just, you have to watch this stuff for some time before you get good at it.
How important is it to be one who teaches and one who learns in your field in general?
Yeah, so in plastic surgery, sadly, people are very competitive, and they don't like to share their secrets, which is, it's kind of, it's counterproductive because, well, first off, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Somebody taught me what to do, somebody taught that person what to do, I'd be nowhere if somebody didn't teach. I didn't fucking invent everything, and that's how these surgeons, they don't have the humility to realize that somebody taught them, and they owe it to others that they have to teach what they learned. Yeah, well, how selfish is that? You're gonna go to somebody, give me all your secrets, and then you turn around, you're like, I'm not gonna give you any secrets to anybody else. It's insane, but that's how they are, that's how they do. 20% of them do teach, and I'm in that group, and that 20% is better. It's not just that they're better people, they're better at what they do, because every time you teach someone, you learn something. Either they're talking to you and they're telling you stuff that they heard about from somewhere else, and you learn about it, something you didn't pick up on, or they critique you and they say, oh, have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried that? Or you're trying to explain it to them and you're having trouble, and you figure out a way to explain it better, and all of a sudden it becomes more clear to you. And that's what happens to me all the time. So I developed this lip technique, and I've taught it for the past 8 years, and I've taught hundreds of people. But they go do it and they don't do they don't get the result that I get. And I keep thinking, why is this happening? Am I a shitty teacher? Did I mess something up? Did I not tell them right? And so I keep trying to figure out, how do I teach them? How do I teach them? They're scientists. Maybe I just got to go more mathematical. They're not artists. These aren't like artistic people that look and they see shapes on things. Like, they just tell me what to do and I do it. That's how they are. From that, I started trying to figure out, how can I give them a calculation? And this calculation I started doing, for me, became this new algorithm. I didn't know I was designing the lip like I was designing it until I started trying to teach it better. And then I figured it out even more, because now I came up with an algorithm where I can go measure out the lip. I can get a better result now because I'm getting consistency. And the only way I figured that out was because I was trying to write an article and I was trying to teach people. And like, when I was writing my article, I'm like, oh shit, that's how you do it. And then I also got the name for my lip lift, which is Cupid lift, because I wrote this article 2 years ago and I wrote out these lines, CPID, central, peak, intermediate, diagonal. It's the relaxed skin tension lines on the lip. And I named them, but that's what they were. But I never realized it said Cupid. And then one day I'm reviewing my article and I'm like, that's a good name. How lucky. Yeah, man. People love when you like put letters together, little acronyms, and like make something out of it. People love that. I like creating things and I like changing things. Yeah. So if I look at someone's face and they look tired all the time and they're exhausted and they want me to help them, I want to help them change it. I want to improve them. To figure out better ways to do it, and I like to make up my own stuff because it's fun changing and you keep doing things and changing things. So when it comes to teaching's like that. You're taking doctors, let's say my residents that come, and you're creating a resident. You're like creating a doctor, and this doctor, you're teaching them, you're improving them, you're advancing them, and you send them back into the world better off than they came in. And so that for me is this. It's the same kind of mindset. Like, I just like making things better, whatever it is. It's your face, it's your knowledge, it's the way you're going to do things for other people, it's the way you're going to help other people, whatever it is. I like to do that. And I get bored if I don't do that. I get bored if I don't create things. I get bored if I'm not cooking. and creating new stuff. I used to get bored if I used to write piano a lot and I wouldn't write new songs. I'd get bored. I was fascinated by it myself when I had earwax taken out of my ear as a kid. And I always just got a good feeling around the doctor. The doctor made me feel comfortable. Like, they have that warm touch, that warm hand. When the doctor's office has that smell, you feel kind of safe, Right. So I always felt that when I was a kid, and I'm like, I want to be like that guy. Like, he just makes me feel like safe, and he'll take care of everything. And that's who I want to be. I want to do that for other people. And things changed, throughout time, where first I wanted to be a pediatrician, then I wanted to be a heart surgeon, then I want to be a brain surgeon, then I'm like, I'll be an orthopedic surgeon because I do a lot of carpentry. And then at some point, it just switched last second to like head and neck. It's always last second, head and neck surgeon. And then for the cancer. And then afterwards, I'm, last second, I'm like, you know what? Can't do it. I'm going into plastics. So it just evolved. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor, though, from day one. And it's not my only passion. This is, most people define themselves by one thing. And they're like, I am a... Yeah, I do carpentry. I do a lot of stuff. It's like people define themselves by one thing. People ask me like, oh man, you can't retire. It's like, it's your only thing. Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, do you even know me, dude? I'm like, I fucking race cars. I race boats. I can go back to piano. I can start an exotic car dealership and I'd be super happy doing that. I love medicine more than all of that as a profession, but I have a lot of interests. There's carpentry, there's upholstery. I used to make lampshades. I was a ski patrol, I was a private investigator. I like doing things and being good at things. Awesome. So surgery wasn't the only thing, but surgery was definitely the lead thing that I had to do. It's the one thing that other stuff I could have lived without. I could have lived without piano. I could have lived without cooking. I could have lived without a lot of stuff. I couldn't have lived without not knowing biology and science. That's how I was. First thing I did when I got to UCLA, I'm like, give me all the science classes. I just had to know how do our bodies work? How does this work? How does that work? I look up in the sky when I'm a kid and I'm staring. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why is it blue? So I always had to figure things out and understand it. And
very inquisitive.
Yeah, and medicine was one of the things that I had to do no matter what. And I told myself when I was a kid too, because I'm like, what am I going to be when I grow up? My two favorite things were being a teacher or being a doctor. And I'm like, well, which one am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm like, well, if you're a teacher, you can't be a doctor. If you're a doctor, you can be a teacher. So I'm like, well, that makes sense. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? These doctors, I'm like, financially, they kind of struggle. I'm like, they go through a lot of stress. I'm like, they go through this and that. I'm like, do I really want to put myself through that? And I decided, I'm like, you know what? I can't live without knowing this stuff. I have to have the knowledge.
It drew you?
Yeah, I just had to do it. Regardless of becoming a doctor, I had to read the books. I had to go and read the books. And I read books fast. So it didn't take me long. But I had to read the books. I had to know what was going on with our bodies. And after that, I fell in love with it anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep doing it. And I never thought I'd become a plastic surgeon, ever. I thought it was so superficial. I didn't really understand the field. but you don't really choose these things. It's like, you will never have ultimate wisdom. Like, it's just never going to happen. Right now, I think I figured out my life. I'm very happy about all the decisions I made up to this point. So if you ask me, like, are you happy you sacrificed all that time? Are you happy you're not married yet? Are you happy, all this stuff is going on in your life and you don't see your friends and it's not, I say, like, you know what? I'm very happy I am where I am. I did exactly what I needed to do to get to where I am fast. I'm happy about it. But that's not ultimate wisdom. Ask me in 20 years, I'll look back, be like, fuck, man, I should have had kids earlier. I should have done this earlier. I should have done that. Ask me 20 years after that, if I'm still alive, maybe I have a different insight into it. For now, I'm happy with the choices I made.
Oh, that's great.
But ultimately, I don't know.
And Tony Robbins says, would've, could've, should've, just live where you're at. If not, don't shit all over yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because then you're just asking, I should have done this, I should have done that. You're here now, you're in the present, so you're living your life. Question for you, for our audience. Would you encourage somebody to follow their passion? Well, you hear that all the time, right? Follow your passion, follow your passion.
Yeah.
Is that always safe?
No. So, as far as like work goes, hopefully you're going to be passionate about it, or else you're never going to be good at it. And unless you get lucky, you're not going to be one of the people who excel to the top. You might get lucky and you're just some kind of genius at something, and even if you don't love it, like business or stocks or whatever, you're just so good at it, you do excel. That happens. But the majority of people don't. 90% of them are going to fail, and they're going to suck at it and always be mediocre and take that 20-year path. They always do that. When I was in college, one of the classes I actually went to was education. And like I didn't go to class that much, but education, the questions he asked were really interesting. He goes, we asked two things. He goes, what do you think the number one culture in the world is, or religion, or whatever? So culture or race that has the highest number of PhDs or doctorates? And everyone's like, well, they look around, they're like, Asian. And the guy's like, no. He goes, Asian is point whatever percent. He goes, Jewish is 30%. He goes, it's the highest by multiples. And the reason for that is because everyone's supportive in the communities, and they just help each other. And they promote each other in whatever they want to do, or their strengths. And he goes on talking about strengths. He says, if you look at how things are taught in school, they try to get you stronger with your weaknesses. Whatever you're weak, let's make that strong. He goes, the people who really excel in this world are not the people who try to make their weaknesses strong and waste time on that. They ignore the weaknesses, they find what they're strong at, and they just go for that. And they go as much as they can for that. And I thought, of course, that's not like everybody. Some people do jack of all trades, you get good at everything. But I thought about it, and I'm like, shit, this guy's right. I'm like, really, if you look at the people who excel in their fields and everything, like, they were strong in that more than anything, and that's really what they went for. And you're lucky if your strength happens to be your passion. If they're both the same and they overlap, then fantastic. I'm lucky because I have like a lot of strengths, a lot of passions. So I can go, this way or that way. I didn't make any moves in my life financially. The way I cast that net was just by becoming more popular. And you can become more popular by making friends. You could do it by becoming a better surgeon. You could do it by media. You could do it by social media. You could do it, a million different ways. I did it all the ways. So I don't put my eggs into one basket because I know I can fail. So what I did was I hit every avenue I could possibly think of. I was doing lectures. I was doing seminars for patients. I was socially, I was just sociable, so I didn't have to ever act like I was, some people like go try to socialize and network. Networking is not in my vocabulary. It's like, I am a social person. Like, there's no like, let's go network. It's not. Yeah, I don't go to networking events. I'm like, you want to hang out? We hang out. And that's just how I am. So that I fortunately never had to do. I feel bad for people that have to do that. Like, I never had to do it, thankfully. But every other thing I busted my ass on. I'm like, let me do this media, that media. Let me do my website. Let me try to do Google. Let me do YouTube. Let me do videos. And I would do everything. So I'm not the 1 million to 5 million person followers on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok, that many people. I'm not on YouTube, that many people. But the word of my name is there, it's there. And when you look at it all, it makes me kind of resistant to people trying to cancel me in this weird ass fucking day of cancel culture. Yeah. They can't cancel me now. Yeah. I've got my finger in too many places. If the economy tanks in one sector, I have the other sector. If people go write online reviews about me, I lose some Yelpers, but I have all these other people. So I've luckily gotten there to a fast point in my career, and it didn't take me 20 years to have that kind of establishment. because I'm also getting to the point now where I'm becoming cynical and I'm worried about like, I don't want to take everyone on. I want to back off. I want to like focus on really the nice people who understand me and who appreciate me, because I want to be appreciated. I have an ego. I do this surgery because I want people to be like, you're fantastic. I want to hear it. I want to, see their happiness, and I want to look at my result. So that's really like what I focus on now, is how do I just increase that number and decrease the number of people who are just going to complain about unrealistic stuff. And, but that's in the plastics world, you have to think about that stuff.
Well, I'm very impressed with your work ethic, with your personality, our conversation. My hat goes off to you, no pun intended. But what would you go back, if you were able to go back in time and tell your younger self who was just starting off with what you're doing? What would you tell that person, that younger Dr. Ben, before he was even a doctor? What you know now, right? Going back.
Yeah, like I made a lot of right moves to get to where I am. I sacrificed a lot of like time and sacrificed, a lot with going out and doing other things that I would have liked to do. But I don't know any other world, so there is another world. I just don't know it is the problem. Again, ask me in 5 years, I'll tell you. But like right now, I'm still in it. I'm slowly trying to back out. The only thing I've realized right now is that I should have thought financially sooner. It seemed dirty to me and I just wanted to be a doctor, but you have to have some kind of financial planning as a doctor, and doctors don't do that. We don't have that mindset, and they go years and years without a retirement. Nobody's giving me a pension. I run my own practice, so you have to figure these things out. The only thing for myself I would have told my young self is, hey, listen to the older doctors faster. Like start asking them what they're going to do to plan their practice in the long run. How are they investing? Like what are they doing? I had no money to invest anyways. I was investing it all in my practice. But maybe I could have not bought an extra boat, like maybe I would have, probably not, but that's the only thing, is I would have, really like try to look. Yeah, maybe, no, I can't do without the boat and the McLaren, the boats and the cars are all that matters to me.
Non-negotiables?
Yeah, non-negotiable. Yeah, but that's the only thing I would have wished, is I talked to the older guys faster, because I ignored them. I'm like, I don't want to do what they're doing, but realistically, they've got all the experience. They're wiser than me. Yeah. They've been through everything. They've been through 4 divorces, How do I avoid these things?
Yeah, good or bad.
But I learned how to avoid
good or bad, right? You learn from their successes and also
exactly
their mistakes.